Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals, welcome to some more Heart of the Swarm beta action, and today it is going to be a ZVT, Terran v Zerg, and these two are actually pretty cool players, so I'm excited about this. In the top right position we do have the red Terran for Team Neurosoft, New Star Hosio, it is Golem, and his opponent in the lower left, formerly on Team Evil Geniuses, it is LzGamer. So, LZ v Golem, who will be the victor, we will wait and see. It is a macro game, so that is fun, it's always exciting. And I'm just going to take a look through and really try and assess what these two could be doing, the pros and cons of the different strategies. Of course, lots has switched up. There's been a couple of recent changes into the way Terran work. This wasn't on the patch where Hellbats required a tech lab upgrade in order to morph into Hellbats, but yeah, that is fine. Maybe we'll get some use there. I know Hellbat drops are exceptionally strong, but it is on the patch where Hellbats do take up double the space in medevac cargo, so you can only transport 2 at a time or 4 Hellions. So that's a quick shout out on what's been going on, which patch we're on and those sort of things. But in terms of strategy, should be a 15 hatch 16 pool out of LZ. For Golem, either a command center first or 1 rack CC is most likely. Could go for a gas first, but we're getting a bit too late for that, to be honest. So I'm thinking it's going to be a CC first. Maybe doing a part of the wall off. I've seen a lot of Terrans favouring that, and it's just a bit safer. Ooh, this is interesting. Not even doing any of that. Instead, just going to chuck down an engineering bay and block it all off, as well as going for that racks first. So delaying that expansion an awful lot. This is an interesting style. I haven't seen this done for a long time, and it's incredibly frustrating as a Zerg player. If you thought getting a pylon block was annoying, try an engineering bay block. It just takes forever to kill it. It's so cheap. You cancel it at the last second, and really it's all good. So this is a really nice strategy out of Golem. He's getting gas up now as well after this barracks, so maybe going for some Reapers, maybe going for some early Hellions, both pretty viable. And as we see, the engineering bay cancelled, the hatchery coming down. It didn't delay it by a huge amount, but what it did do was waste a lot of mining time. 5 drones were attacking rather than mining for a good period. That meant that obviously the income was lower. It throws everything off a little bit. LZ's hatch was clearly later than it should have been. And also the spawning pool was a bit later than it should have been. So generally speaking, it was quite a good build, but the sacrifice was the barracks was later, and also the orbital commanders therefore a bit later for Golem. Between those factors, it's still fairly close between them, both on equal workers. Nothing too exciting going on, but what is quite interesting is LZ getting this gas up quite quick, just for a quick speed, and it's always important to check whether drones are pulled out or not after the speed, because that's how you really get a good read on what the Zerg player could be trying to do, whether it's going to be some kind of aggressive teching strategy, maybe even potentially a bailing bust or something like that. I know they're not as common as they used to be, but it's something that, do you know what, it is a viable strategy, and you do need to take a good read to really try and predict what could be coming out. But the SCV, just running around, taking a look, saying, hey, drones, gas, that's fine, hatchery just finishing up. I haven't started yet my command center, I'm being aggressive. So really, all that's going to counteract this, assuming that it's Hellions coming out, not Widow Mines, are some roaches. Other than that, it's going to be very difficult. We do see the command center now just getting started. No bunker yet, but that's fine. The roach warren coming down exceptionally early for LZ here, so really, really quick roach warren. I don't believe he's come up here and scouted the factory. If I take a look at LZ's vision, no, he doesn't know that that's there at all. So, due to that, he shouldn't have any knowledge, because he doesn't see the gas either, that it is going to be these Hellions coming out, which we do see now in production. So, just blindly getting that down, clearly had a lot of problem with Hellions coming into this. Hellbats are very strong as well. Hellbat drops incredibly potent. Considering we're seeing the Starport come down as well now, it seems like we're either going to be getting some kind of Hellion drop, or alternatively some Banshee, because the Starport and Tech Lab, the Starport and Barrack could switch on the Tech Lab to give you the Cloak Banshee out. So those are the different things that could be coming in terms of opening. We've got our 4 roaches already on the way. A second gas now getting completed, so that's just in response, and it is going to be Banshee. We see the switch off coming there, so that is all ace, fine to see. Burrow coming down exceptionally early as well. So clearly going to be going for some interesting play with those roaches, and they aren't actually out yet, but they are now just popping. So what is LZ got in store for this? Well, he could burrow them down fairly near the front once burrow is done in order to try and trap the Hellions. That would be a pretty snazzy little move, but for the meantime, just taking down his 3rd hatchery. I haven't actually seen burrow off hatchery tech yet, so that's why I'm quite excited with what LZ could be planning. and maybe he's just playing around with it, we'll wait to see. But all I do know is that Golem, he's got his barracks up, he's getting out that Banshee. No cloak, it's not getting researched, so just a plain up Banshee, more gas available for other things. Widow Mines following up to the 4 Hellions, so we've got 4 Hellions, 2 Widow Mines, and a Banshee. That's a nice way to contain your opponent. These roaches starting to wander forward, and there's not actually that many of them at the moment. One apparently got lost, didn't get the memo. Going the other way around, getting some good scanning information, but the watchtower being held sees. Hang on, roaches. That is really quite early. The Widow Mine's going to come and burrow. That's going to do some nice damage, especially if the roaches are clumped up. The Banshee as well can just start helping on this. So this push unlikely really to do too much, but here comes the Widow Mines. One hit goes down, one dead roach. Banshee still working away at the others, but reveals that it's there, so no extra queens or spore crawlers started yet for LZ, but he can get them if he really feels the need. The second Banshee is half done as well. We do have no more add-ons coming for the barracks as of yet, but instead just more Hellions on their way out. So the Widow Mines there to be defensive, the Hellions and Banshee there to be offensive. The roaches trying to pick a fight with the Hellions, but using a nice little burrow there. So revealing the burrow tech keeps it alive. There's also some more roaches burrowed around. So this is a good use of the early game burrow because he may catch something off guard. And a Raven now coming out as well. So this is the detection in order to come and deal with this early game burrow, forcing the Raven sooner. But 2 Banshee already is quite significant. LZ, third base up and running. He's getting down spore crawlers around his bases. That's nice to see. Also got Lair about half done now. So things piecing together, definitely getting more into the mid-game stage of this game. And what's important is just what Golem does after this, and it looks like it's going to be a command center. No additional production facilities yet, so just pumping out some more units. Going to try and go for some early pushing, early prodding. LZ may have difficulty dealing with those Banshee though, because there's 2 out and only 3 queens. With the Hellions as well helping, that queen goes down very quickly, and while the Widow Mines aren't going to have too much of an easy time burrowing up and getting off some damage, they can come and burrow the third, where currently there isn't actually any detection, so that's rather annoying. The Raven is out on the field somewhere. We saw an Overlord or something just went pop there. It wasn't Overlord from those Widow Mines, so nice little use. We see the drones also getting fried unfortunately, but altogether this is looking fine. Denying the third base mining time, actually taking out the third base as well. Just means that Golem putting them back on equal bases, the double armory coming out, so it is going to be a mech style play, more factories coming. The Hydrogen also there, the third base now destroyed, the Broodlings frantically scrambling about, but the Widow Mine is going to get a couple of shots off before dying, does kill a roach or 2, so that is fine. Really helped its play and just got really everything looking good for Golem. So he's sitting there being very cost effective, losing 280 resources to the 1,300 of LZ. I'd say that's good news. In terms of the worker count, he's only behind by 3, which when you factor in 2, now soon to be 3 mules, that actually puts Golem ahead. The double armory means double mech upgrades. Hydras though are going to be hitting fairly soon, and LZ's going to be aggressive with those Hydras. I can tell that because of the muscular augments. If you're being passive or defensive, should I say, with Hydralisks, you don't get that. You get range because you're going to be on creep, and therefore the Hydras move faster on creep, and the speed upgrade makes no difference to that. If you're being offensive with them, you need to go off creep, and therefore you want the speed to be able to retreat and position them accordingly. But for the moment, the Banshee's just trying to push back the creep spread, which is just a staple of Terran play. You don't really want that creep getting across to your side of the map. The tank putting in a nice defense position along with the missile turret as well. We do have more tanks coming out. Double upgrades haven't yet started, so this double armory not yet being utilised, but literally as I say that, we do see the Golem begins. So this is all looking nice. We do still have that single burrowed roach there. One roach here getting spotted and found, and as the command center, or orbital command rather, doesn't land, it will reveal that actually a burrowed roach is blocking it, and that's frustrating. Meanwhile though, an Overlord did get taken down there, and that is very annoying. Some Hellbats are in production as well, so this is switching out of the Hellion style play into the more mid-game where the added HP and damage output of a Hellbat is going to be more useful than just the speed and maneuverability of poking and prodding. But suddenly the orbital command doesn't land, and that is because there is a roach there. So the tanks are sieging up. That's going to make a very quick end to that roach, but unfortunately the Hellions going straight on top there. A bit of a misclick, meaning everything died, but everything else could be soon dying because LZ is coming across the map with some roaches and Hydras. The Hellion does spot it though. a good defensive position with those siege tanks, but it is going to be very difficult in order to engage this, and really LZ has to push in. If he is going to go for it, he has to go for it pretty firmly because of the tanks in the back there, and that is precisely what he's going to do. The Hellions are, or Hellbats rather, trying to do some nice damage. A point defense drone going to try and stop some of this damage. Good sneaker missile goes down on one of those roaches, doesn't deal that much damage. The tanks though are about to fall, and this is a good push by LZ, dealing some really nice damage, and as such a lift force on that orbital command, but a lot of SCVs are going to go down, and with the Hydras there, the orbital command could even die. We'll wait to see whether it does, but almost certain to fall, and that is a huge loss for Golem. Even though he knocked out LZ's third base earlier, which is now back up, it does just mean that actually my third base is dead and gone. That's a big commitment. There is another orbital command or command center being constructed, but this push is still occurring. The supply depot wall off really going to be helpful, allows those 3 tanks behind it in order to do more damage, but the Roach is taking one out now. The Hydra's still pushing forward, dealing a nice amount of damage, and actually this is starting to become problematic with the range on those Hydras, able to take out the other 2 tanks. The Banshee not even able to provide the support to take out this army quickly enough with the Hydras there, and this is just doing so much. Golem down to just 70 supply. He is desperately trying to hold on right now and is going to be losing quite a lot. There are 2 tanks coming out now, one on the high ground, one on the low ground. LZ clearly does not want this mech force to get well established, and instead wants to try and end this game sooner rather than later. But with pumping out just more roaches and more Hydras, we can actually see that in terms of the worker count, he's not that far ahead. Only 7 workers advantage, which is not as significant as he most likely wants. And all that means is that LZ, he's taken out the third base. He's going to probably try and just sit back. He won't feel comfortable trying to punch through this. But the third, or what was a 4th orbital command, is now up and running. Mules are there. But the regroup is always going to be concerning. Golem, he isn't aware that LZ is just pumping units behind this. Now switching back to droning, so is going to be starting to saturate this base. But wave 2 of the push, most certainly coming in. Upgrade-wise though, 1-1 is done for Golem, whereas only +1 missile attack is complete for LZ. This orbital command slightly exposed out the front here, may be forced to lift, but with the Hydras there, if the tanks weren't just so far forward, that could have gone down. But with the tank fire, LZ is not going to be able to push up into that natural base without taking significant losses. So just containing his opponent, denying this third very effectively, and as such, he's just going to try and take the economical lead. Now switching into the Spire, and you may be thinking, why the Spire? Because you know there's a lot of tanks out, and you know that your opponent's going mech. In terms of vision, he hasn't seen much. Just from the units, you can deduce that. And if you've seen a lot of tanks, especially this early on, you know there isn't Thors. That means the only anti-air is in the form of these Vikings, so a good Mutaflock will be very potent indeed, could snipe off some of those tanks and some of those medevacs and really even get the Hellbats, and that would be very good for LZ. But as we can see, a drop coming in. We do have the 2 Hellbats coming down and through, but with the Spore Crawler there and the 2 Spine Crawlers, this may not do that much. Shouldn't do a nice amount of damage though, but the Hellbats will obviously get cleaned out fairly quickly. The drone's not getting pulled quite quickly enough by LZ there. A couple of workers do indeed die. 11 killed so far this game, but compared to the 30 plus LZ has slaughtered, then all in all, I'd say LZ is still firmly ahead. You can see that in the worker count as well, 59 to 47. And with this 4th base near completion, a couple of big drone waves will put LZ to that 70 plus mark that he most desperately wants to get to for his late game. But considering how aggressive this game has been, all the timings have been somewhat thrown off. LZ still on Roach Hydra at like the 18-minute mark, hasn't started his hive, doesn't even have an infestation pit down. Instead, he's just finished his fire, but he's going to go and try and deny this third base yet again. Keep his opponent on those 2 bases. The tank line is going back a long way, so those shells are hitting, and they are hitting hard. The Hellbat's tanking up a lot of damage, but LZ forcing his way through. He's got the +2 missile attack, now pulling back in order to take out the orbital command. The Hydra's doing as much damage as they can. The Roach is going to clean out those SCVs below, but the repair will be just enough to keep it alive, and this push has got cleaned out. And while some SCVs were killed there, a good about 9 or 10 more, it does unfortunately not manage to snipe off that orbital command. Having said that though, at the same time, Hellbat drops coming down into the main base of LZ, seeing that Hive still isn't yet started. 12 Mutalisks are on their way out though, and there is still not a single Thor. The only anti-air available for Golem are those 3 Vikings, and that just means that now he's seen these Mutalisks pop and clean that up instantly. 2 Thors start in production. You're desperately going to need that. Another drop coming down towards the third base. The 2 Hellbats trying to do a nice little bit of damage. Only the single Spine Crawler now, and the Queen able to start chipping away at it. So that means a good number of kills go down. 21 drones have been fried, but the Muters coming in now. Where is the anti-air? It's only the Vikings. A couple of missile charges trying to get built fairly quickly, but the Vikings dying very fast. Tanks now going to probably get focused down as round 2. A missile turret is going to push back a Mutalisk at the moment, but as long as they don't die, they are going to be very good. That single orbital command at the third base, trying to float to safety with the Hydras, with the Mutas chipping away at it. It's already on fire. It is going to go down, and that is a big win for LZ. And LZ now going to be feeling very, very happy. He's knocked his opponent back down to still under the 50 worker mark. He's knocked him back down to 2 bases, knowing that his main is probably nearly mined out. It's 1 mining base up against what is 3 for LZ. He is going to be happy with that. He knows his income is going to be better, and he knows ultimately then that he is going to be able to outproduce his opponent. The Mutaflock is getting larger, just got to be a bit careful, making sure to magic box over the Thors rather than just going head on, or alternatively can just try and go to the main base, but with such a good missile turret line would really struggle to do so. So going to try and arch around the back, can pick off this one probably in a couple of volleys. As long as he micros back the injured Mutas, he should be absolutely fine pulling of that without losing anything, but isn't going to pull back the Mutas unfortunately, but just manages to survive. The 2 armories will die, but as you can see, the mech force pushing forward. A lot of SCVs have been pulled. Golem knows that he has to all in at this point, otherwise he will not win. He doesn't have the income to sustain some long engagement, so has to try and deal at least some critical damage, if not ended. That's why all the SCVs have been pulled. The 4th base does indeed die. The Roach Hydra Force coming down from the flank, going to try and engage these tanks, but with a good siege position. The Mutas coming from the other angle. The Thors are the risk to the Mutalisk, which are quite clumped up at the moment, but the Roach Hydras are able to deal with the remaining Thors and deal some good damage. As long as the Thor dies, the Muta will be able to clean out the rest. The 2 Vikings desperately trying to engage with LZ. Looks like he's cleaned out this push, and I think the GG will have to come down shortly, because Golem down to just 70 supply. Once this tank falls, he's going to be under the 60 or so mark, and that is just really catastrophic for him. He's mined out his natural as well. He's mined out his main. He's got no income. He's only got about 200 minerals left. LZ admittedly lost his center base, but he's still mining from the natural, still mining from the third, and has a bit more of a bank, especially those 1300 minerals, getting his hive out as well. Golem, he's just going to try and float down his main orbital command to the third base and retake that as his main to try and get into this game, but he's going to have such a tough time. He's got 26 workers to the 58 drones. LZ retaking his 4th base, desperately trying to get up to hive tech, and with that, while the Hellbat drops have been great, done a good amount of damage, and that push did kill the hatchery, LZ just dealt with it too well. He lost an awful lot of Mutalisks though, so we can see that actually he's lost a similar amount, both only within around 900 resources difference between them, so they're both losing a lot, but the difference being LZ is getting a lot more income, and that income is what makes the big difference in the late game. If you've got more income and you're engaging with the same cost effectiveness, then to be honest, you're going to be fine going into the late game, and that is exactly what we're seeing now. LZ, he's got a sizable force. He's at nearly double the army supply of his opponent, and as such, he's going to push in. The Widow Mines may give him a bit of trouble, but I don't think it's going to be able to do enough. Changelings running around everywhere. The Overseers are with the army as well, ready to spot these Widow Mines. The tank gets a shot up there very quickly and will manage to take them out, but that reveals that the siege line is up and running. This third base, once it goes down, I really don't think there's anything the Golem is going to be able to do. The Roaches running straight into the Widow Mine, so they do detonate. Unfortunately, the other Widow Mine will get a couple of shots off, but there's only 4 tanks there. The 2 Thors melting near instantly to the focused fire, and the tanks now going down as well. And I think with this, LZ will be able to win the game. He is cleaning out all of the tanks, just 1 remains, and as that goes down, the reinforcing tanks trying, Roaches pushing up into the natural base as well. These 2 tanks that have come out of the production line getting taken out as well. Now LZ reinforcing with 11 more Roaches. He is in such a strong spot. The army supply for Golem down at 30 to the 54 of LZ, and LZ getting out some Vipers. He's ready to Blinding Cloud, abduct onto those siege tanks, but this is the big problem for Golem. He is losing all of these mules, all of these SCVs very quickly. The Orbital Command could very well die as well to the Hydras, and as such, he has just got so little mineral income. If we take a look at this, just 200 minerals a minute compared to the 1500 of LZ. That is just so great for LZ. He is in a dominating position. He's got his 4th base back up and running, but there is another Hellbat drop just coming in. A couple of drones could go down, but a good burrow. And, well, while we do have that happening, just maneuvering these Hellbats in order to try and splash the drones with the hatchery fire, but units pulling back, more Hydras, more Roaches in production. 100, just under 100 supply advantage now for LZ over Golem. The worker count, 18 SCVs to 59 drones, even after those losses. LZ is so far ahead. His hive is done. He's now got those Vipers out, so he's going to be able to Blinding Cloud on the siege tanks. And while this Orbital Command is yet again trying to retake the third base, it just doesn't look like it's going to be too possible for Golem to come back. But my goodness, you've got to give him credit for his dedication, for his sheer determination to try and win this game. Never give up, never surrender. Very, very good attitude to have. And as we can see, he's just returtling up, rebiding his time, trying to get any income he can, because he's got 2 mules as well. That will help him as much as 2 mules ever can in this situation. But well, 100 supply now advantage for LZ. He's getting up more spines and spores to defend his bases from more hellback drops, which arguably have done a lot for Golem, killing 31 workers, but 78 SCVs killed this game so far by the Zerg player, and that is just so incredibly strong, and that is why Golem ultimately is likely to lose this game, unless by some miracle he can destroy LZ's forces without taking any loss of his own. And if there's any way to be cost effective as a Terran player, it is with Widow Mines and Siege Tank. Splash damage is really the only way to engage this force with a good, relatively good cost efficiency, but to be honest, I don't think it's going to work too well. Some Blinding Clouds likely to go down those Vipers, all with full energy. Meanwhile, we've got more Hydras, the +3 missile attack getting research. We've already got the +2 Carapace done. 2-2 vehicle weapons are complete for Golem, but these 2 armories haven't even started 3-3. He just doesn't have the money for it. More Widow Mines trying to come out. They are relatively cheap, but they are one-hit wonders. And, well, this push is going to go in any second. LZ near maxed out. He's just biding his time. He's waiting for that max army, these 13 roaches, to hit the field. And once they do, he should be absolutely fine moving in, trying to go for the engagement, trying to win the game. And Golem, while he's got a good defensive siege line, he's got a good few tanks out with 7. I don't think it's going to be enough. The Widow Mines being triggered by those Overseers. The Roaches trying to push in. Blinding Clouds hitting on those siege tanks already. Just a couple of them getting stopped, but even just stopping those front 3 means that LZ can push even further forward. He negates a lot of the damage. He's taking far less losses than Golem, and with these tanks going down, I think this is going to be GG. And there we go, Golem calls it. He put up a valiant defense. He tried his best, but LZ just showed that actually, with all those workers killed, the denial of the 3rd base so early on, he was in a solid spot throughout. Roach, Hydra, Viper, a great composition against Terran. So, thank you very much everyone for watching. I hope you did enjoy the cast. Like the video. If you did, leave a cool comment and subscribe, because I get new games up daily. See you all tomorrow, hopefully, for yet another new game. I'm Madals, and bye for now.